Hello and welcome to another edition of the Transfer Talk podcast. We are on the road again and we are in sunny Chigwell with the one and only Jermain Defoe. Jermain, welcome along.
Hi, mate.
Now listen, you've got to forget all the interviews you've done in your career where you gave people like me nothing at all. This is where you tell us everything about every move you've made and perhaps the ones that didn't happen as well. I want to go right back to the beginning first of all. How were you first spotted?
Well, I spotted when I was 14. I got a scholarship to go to Lilleshall, and I was there for 2 years. And what happens is, at the time I was at Charlton as a kid, and then my second year in Lilleshall, where a lot of the boys that were there, some of the boys were like Neil Dans was at Liverpool, Leon Knight I think at the time was at Chelsea, I was at Charlton. So a lot of the boys were at their clubs. So in the second year at Lilleshall, you decide where you want to go. And I think Harry Redknapp sent a scout out, basically just to watch some of the games, and basically just said, there's a young kid that I want, go and get him.
It wasn't the smoothest of moves though, was it, from Charlton to West Ham back in '99? What do you remember of that? Why did it get so messy?
Well, at the time, obviously being a kid, and I didn't really understand it. I had to go to a tribunal, I had to sit on a table, what was going on. I was like, I just didn't understand it at the time. They said it was an illegal approach. Obviously, I was a Charlton player at the time. I can imagine they probably had high hopes for me to probably go on and play in the Charlton first team. And I had to go to a tribunal. I remember playing my first West Ham game when I actually went to West Ham, played against Wimbledon away, and I came off the pitch and there was like paparazzi taking pictures of me. And at the time I was like, nah, surely they can't be taking pictures of me. I was a 16-year-old. And it was just obviously about the whole case and stuff like that. But it was strange, but I don't know, I just got on with it. I just enjoyed my time at West Ham.
What was your first conversation like with Harry Redknapp? Do you remember it?
God, many years ago. But when I actually signed for the club and I walked in, obviously met Harry and he took me round. I remember the first person I saw was Wright. You can imagine I was in my element. It was a dream. Someone who idolised from a young kid. Had all the posters on my wall. The goals that he scored for club and country. And as soon as I walked in, I saw Wrighty, and then I saw Rio. And it was just like an unbelievable welcome, to be honest. And from that moment, I knew that I made the right decision. Especially being such a young kid and the first team manager showing that sort of interest, it was amazing. Just
take me back to when you first saw Ian Wright, when you first arrived at West Ham. What's going through your mind then?
I couldn't believe it, because it's one of those things where this is going to be my workplace, and someone who I've watched as a young kid from primary school days, trying to emulate you emulate the players that you see on TV. I was always writing in a school playground, so to go from there to sort of like going to work every day with him being there, knowing that he could help me, it was just, it was a dream, you can imagine.
And how did he help you? Did you train together? Did you get tips off him about finishing?
Yeah, we used to do finishing every day after training. We used to do crossing and finishing, and what he would do is just to make sure my timing was right. The ball used to go wide, and he used to hold my kit, and he used to hold me, and he would just hold me, and then he would push me and say, right, go now, just to get the timing of the crosses and all different types of finishing. And that's why now I've got to, obviously, when you're a senior player, that's why it's so important to try and give something back to youngsters, because I was lucky enough I had Wrighty, not just Wrighty, I had DeCanio, I had Trevor Sinclair, all the senior players were so good with me, but Wrighty definitely was the main one, because he's the one that sort of like taught me about, the timing and my movement and stuff like that. And to be honest, everything that he said to me, it's stuck, to be honest, and I always told a story, I told some of the young lads at every club I've been at. I remember speaking to Gary McAllister recently, and he actually said that Robbie Fowler used to do the same thing with the youngsters at Liverpool. So it's just nice that these legends, they've done so much in the game, and to give something back is special. But no, Wright, it was a dream to be with Wrighty as a kid.
Who do you think you've helped now then?
I don't know, to be honest. There's a young kid called Dapo at the club at Rangers. Amazing potential, and I would like to think that, at some point he'll go on and play for that football club.
Your first team debut for West Ham United is a memorable one, League Cup against Walsall, and you score. What do you remember about the goal? What do you remember about that night?
It was pouring down with rain. It was 0-0, And I kept looking at the clock, and I thought, wow, there's 6 minutes to go. And then Harry says to me, warm up. So I run out, but I didn't go to the top. I just thought, let me just stay here, because I was desperate to get on. Anyway, I got on, and I remember, I think it was my second touch. The ball's coming from a corner, and it's fell to Rio. I think Rio's shot hit the crossbar, and it just literally just bounced up perfect for me. Left foot, just volley, goal. Unbelievable. Short sleeve, it was down here, baggiest kit ever. But it was a special moment, because I think that's when I really felt like I could really do it at that level.
Then came that loan to Bournemouth, and you score in 10 consecutive games.
Yeah.
How important do you think that loan was in the context of what you went on to achieve in your career?
So important. It was so important because when I scored on my debut for West Ham, I think I was on the bench against Coventry in the league. And I spoke to Harry, he had a conversation, he said, I don't really want you playing reserve football, because a lot of the time in reserve football, especially back then, it was the first team players that were coming back from injury. And obviously on both teams, and a lot of the time he's probably, not saying they won't take it serious and that, but it's basically just to tick over and try and get fit, and probably people kicking me about. So just spoke to Harry and said, I think it'd be great if you can, go out on loan, play league football. It'd be important for you, and hopefully come back and try and get into the first team. But he spoke about, obviously Rio did it, Frank did it, Michael Carrick went out on loan, and I remember phoning my mum. I said, I'm going on loan to Bournemouth. She's like, what? She got on the phone to Harry, and Harry just had a conversation with her. I said, yeah, it'd be good for him. I'll go and watch the games. He'll love it down there. It's a lovely place. Sean O'Driscoll's the manager at the time, with Peter Grant the assistant. So it was probably the best thing I did, to be honest. So
it being the best thing you did, but when you come back to West Ham United, there's a big change, because Harry Redknapp's gone. Yeah. Glenn Roeder has come in. What were your emotions when you knew that Harry had gone?
I was upset, to be honest, because I was so close to Harry, and I just wanted to, not pay him back on that, but I just wanted to prove to him that I could come back and score goals, in the Premier League at the highest level, and and I just wanted to do it for him, because he scouted me as a young kid, gave me an opportunity. I played when I made my debut at 17. He sent me on loan, so all of this, and I just wanted to come back and get into the first team at West Ham and play in the Premier League. And then obviously I remember being at home, and it came up on the news. Me and my family, we were just shocked, to be honest. I was surprised, didn't see it coming. I did not see that coming. But I suppose the good thing about that, Glenn Roeder was at the club anyway, and I knew Glenn, really nice guy, a good coach, and I got on well with Glenn anyway. So even then I thought, right, I can still go back, and Glenn, he knows me. Hopefully I still felt like I can still, get myself in the first team and do what I need to do.
And you did, because it was 14 goals in that first full season with West Ham United. When that was happening, because you talk about where West Ham United were spotting you when you were barely a teenager, surely when you're scoring 14 goals in the Premier League, you're hearing of interest from other clubs, even at that young age. Who was interested then that you knew of?
Yeah, I remember seeing, there was loads, at the time when I was young at West Ham, there was loads of clubs. I remember Manchester United, I see stuff in the paper all the time. Remember there being interest from I don't remember Tottenham, the Arsenal one. I remember seeing something about Arsenal, where I think at the time Arsenal wanted Michael Carrick as well. But it was probably more the Manchester United one. I remember seeing a lot of.
And how far did that go? Did the club ever mention it to you that look?
No, to be honest, no. And it's not even like it's not something that I thought about as well, because when you're, coming through the system at West Ham, the youth team system, and all my friends were there, I was happy. I was scoring goals. I was involved. I was playing. So I was happy. So I suppose you just get on with it, especially at that age. They get on with it. You don't really speak to your agent and be like, oh, what's going on? I've seen something in the papers and stuff like that. And it was just speculation. And I didn't really think about it. I just thought, well, it's a good feeling, of course, but I just want to play football, and I just want to keep scoring goals, and I just want to play for England. That's all I used to think. Was
there ever any time when you played against United, that some of their players were having a little word, even Ferguson?
My first game at Old Trafford, remember we won 1-0 and I scored the header. I remember being down the tunnel, we had the blue kit on, I remember standing there, and I had one of those moments where I thought, I can't believe I'm actually standing in the tunnel at Manchester United and I'm going to play. I couldn't believe it. Started the game, sorry, and I remember looking over and seeing all these players, Roy Keane's, Beckham's. I don't think Beckham started on that day. And all these great names, all the players that I used to watch on TV, and it didn't seem like it just felt like when I stood there, it just felt like it was yesterday. So if I just felt like I was a fan who were in the stands, and all of a sudden, I'm standing down the tunnel. I'm gonna play against Manchester United. So it was an unbelievable feeling. And then what happened? It was just crazy. You know, we played the game. I felt sharp, and I was so happy and excited. You know, I remember Di Canio crossing it, and I scored past Barthez, scored a header, which was unusual anyway. So and you can see the celebrations, and when you watch the goal back, and I was just so happy. And then I remember during the game, something happened where I remember it was winning 1-0, and I ran back to make a tackle, and I remember Roy Keane saying something to me like, "Stop running," and like, I can't remember what he said exactly. I remember Roy Keane saying something to me, but it was just amazing that day. I'll never forget it, because to score against Manchester United for West Ham was special, you know, because, you know, the best team in the league at the time, dominating English football, to go there to win 1-0 and to score as a young kid, it was amazing.
Then came that relegation season. You still scored 11 goals, but that team contained Joe Cole, Michael Carrick, Paolo Di Canio, Freddie Canute, Les Ferdinand, David James.
Yeah.
How have you gone down?
We left it too late, basically. We left it too late, not getting results. An unbelievable squad. And I remember when Trevor Brooking took over. So when Trev took over, I remember we started playing well. But we just left it too late, because I mean, when you look at some of the names that you've just mentioned, there's no way you should get relegated. There's no way. Obviously, when it happened, everyone was devastated. It was hard to take, especially being young. It was hard. You don't really know how to deal with it. The senior lads were good with us, but it was hard, because didn't feel like we deserved it, because the last 6 or 7 games we played well. But it is what it is, and it was tough.
You say as a young player you didn't know how to handle it. Now there's that much publicised transfer request 24 hours later. Can you just explain how that happened, who you saw? Was it written down? Did you hand it to somebody?
I remember speaking to my agent at the time, and he just basically said to me and my family, he just said, this is something that you need to do, because you want to be playing in the Premier League. You've done well so far, and you want to be playing in the Premier League. And if you hand in a transfer request, it gives you a better chance to leave the football club. And I just remember, sometimes when I look back at it now, I just thought, you know, maybe I was naive at the time. If I would have turned around and probably asked more questions, I'd be like, yeah, but do I really need to do this? I mean, if someone wants me, they'll just come and get me, and they'll just pay the money, and it's simple as that. But obviously, because I didn't really know about transfer requests, or I didn't know about the consequences. When it happened, when I got the backlash, it was like I was shocked. I was surprised. I didn't really know what was going on, because I thought, well, is it not something? Is this not normal? What players do? Don't players hand in transfer requests? And I just felt like I was on my own, to be honest. You know, from sitting down with my agent in a room and him writing out the transfer request and me taking it on my own to the stadium.
You went on your own?
I went on my own to the stadium. Felt like I was at school, knocking on the headmaster's door, or I felt like I was betraying like a family member. You know, these people that's giving me an opportunity. You know, when we go back and I spoke about being at Charlton and scouting me, these people that's giving me an opportunity, and then years later, not too many years later, I'm basically going into the football club and handing transfer requests and saying, I don't want to be here, I want to leave. So it was, of course, a massive regret, a massive regret, but it was. I just didn't know what I was doing at the time.
The way you're talking now,
yeah.
You can still
it's
feel the
just,
regret.
Yeah, of course. It's just the honesty. It's from the heart. At the end of the day, I didn't realise, like, it was hard, because, like I said, I felt like I was on my own. I was on my own, because all the stick that I got after, you know, people don't speak about agents or or anyone else. It's you. You know, front page of the paper. You know, my face on a rat and stuff like that, and it was hard because you're young. You know, previous to that, everything was just back pages. You know, me scoring goals, and it was nice. It was all good, and all of a sudden you have to deal with this. It was something completely different for me.
On the back of that, did offers come in? Who came in for you then?
Yeah, there was offers and stuff, but to be honest, when I did it and actually realised what had happened, I felt like I had to sort of like get my head down and try and win the fans back. That's all I was thinking at the time. I spoke to my family and I thought, right, I've made a big mistake. I shouldn't have trusted the agent at the time. I made a big mistake, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stay and try and win the fans back. I felt like I did that a little bit, to be honest, with the goals that I scored before. Obviously, I left in January to go to Tottenham and that, but like...
In that time, you say you scored the goals, but you got sent off 3 times as well.
3 times.
What, was your head not right because of everything that had happened?
Of course, yeah. And me getting sent off is out of character, because I never want to be one of those players that get sent off, because when you get sent off, you miss games. And that's games that I could be scoring goals. So I remember I got sent off at home against, I think it was West Brom. Got sent off away against... was it Cardiff, I think it was. And it was 3 times before Christmas, and I missed 13 games. And I remember speaking to Alan Pardew, who was the manager at the time, and 13 games. And I was actually coaching the kids in the evenings, because I was training, and after training, there's nothing to do. Not preparing for any games. So, you know, you're missing 5 games, you come back 3 games, then you're missing, like, so it was just like, what do I do in the evenings and stuff? So I was coaching the kids to try and give something back to make me feel better, because I felt like I was letting the team down, because they needed the goals and stuff like that. But so out of character, getting sent off 3 times, and just, but I think it was just me, that frustration with, you know, the transfer request and probably coming back and getting a little bit of stick, and just that frustration really. And then I got obviously the phone call to go to Tottenham.
You mentioned Tottenham. They came calling. How did you hear about their interest? And when you did, were you thinking, that's it?
I was here. I was at my mum's, and I remember my agent phoning me late Sunday. He said, right, I've just got a phone call from Daniel Levy. Do you want to go to Tottenham? And you, the thing is with me, I know my football, so I remember thinking about all the greats that I played for that football club. All the great forwards that I played for that football club, the Klinsmann, the Linekers, the, you know, players, Gaza, all these players. So I thought, you know, yeah, of course it's going to be tough to leave West Ham, but at some point it has to happen, because even when I stayed, most of the team had gone anyway. And I thought, you know what, I want to be playing back in the Premier League, and to be playing for a club like Tottenham, you know, it was just like, yeah, let's make it happen.
Was there anyone else in the running for you? Was anyone else interested? That you heard of?
I don't know. I remember getting a phone call about Leeds when they had all those players there, and they were doing well. I remember getting a phone call from Leeds. There was a few clubs in that, but to be honest, when I got the Tottenham call, I was like, yeah, that's where I want to go. And
you had no reservations, even though there was a little bit of transition at Spurs, because Glenn Hoddle had just been sacked, hadn't he? And David Pleat was in caretaker charge, but that didn't...
No, not at all.
...impact you at all?
No, not at all, because I just remember thinking, it's such a good opportunity at a massive football club. And obviously I knew Ledley King from before, Anthony Gardner, I knew Guards, and obviously Jermain Defoe was there at the time. It just felt right, and I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to go. I'm going to go, because it is a special football club. I'm not going to not go and then years later look back and think, oh, I wish I would have had that. I wish I would have gone and thing.
Your first full season had managerial changes as well. Martin Jol came in, Jack Santini went out, but you still scored 22 goals that season. And then we're told there was interest from a certain Jose Mourinho and Chelsea. Do you recall this? How far did that go?
Again, I remember my first full season at Tottenham with 20 plus goals. Obviously, you can imagine I was buzzing at the time, because I think I went to Tottenham, was it 9 million, I think it was? At the time it was a lot of money, and I just felt like I had to go there and score goals back in the Premier League. I was really excited. And again, I remember the Chelsea thing. But, I mean, it's it's one of those things where when you're at a club and you're playing well and you're happy, you don't. Maybe other players do, but for me, I always just get my head down. You know, I just think just get your head down and score goals and everything else will take care of itself. Instead of sort of like thinking about other clubs.
But they were interested, weren't they?
I think they were interested, yeah. But thinking about other clubs and maybe, you know, taking your foot off the gas a little bit, because I wasn't there long, to be honest. I wasn't there long when I was getting these interests from the other clubs. But I mean, that's part and parcel though, because I just felt like as a forward, when you're scoring goals consistently, you're going to have interest.
The trend for Spurs was moving upwards.
Yeah.
And the following season, you miss out by a whisker to get into the Champions League. It's now been famously dubbed Lasagne-Gate at Upton Park. What do you remember about those 24 hours?
I remember just the build-up to the game. Obviously, it's a massive game. I mean, to get into the Champions League was massive for the football club. And we felt like we deserved it, to be honest, with how we played all season and the squad that we had. And just that football club, just felt like we deserved it. So I remember going into the game, everyone was obviously buzzing like you can imagine. And I just remember, obviously, having the evening meal, going to bed.
Did you have the lasagna?
No. Thank God. I didn't have it. But like, I just remember getting a phone call from the doctor in the morning and him saying, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." "Why?" "A few of the boys are not well." But I thought it was like 1 or 2. And I remember coming down to pre-match and a lot of the lads were struggling. And of course we're going to panic, because I thought, especially Michael Carrick, who was a massive player for us, unbelievable, great signing. And I just thought, you know what, we need these players today, because it's going to be a tough game against West Ham. So obviously going into the game with that sort of like negative, it was tough. And obviously what happened.
It's a sickening day for Tottenham Hotspur. They woke up with illness in the camp, threatening this game taking place at all. But when it did take place, it was the final sad chapter of a season that's seen them in the top 4 since December, but overtaken by their rivals Arsenal on the very last day.
You know, it was when you look back now, you know, you don't want to say it's conspiracy, but like it was just strange what happened. It was strange for so many players to get ill the night before a massive game. It was, I don't know, maybe it was just what just wasn't meant to be.
Are you convinced if these players hadn't eaten the lasagna, you'd have played Champions League football the following season?
I think so, yeah.
In the summer of 2006, Tottenham signed Dimitar Berbatov. Of all the striking partners you've had during your career, where does this guy rank?
He's up there for sure. I love Robbie Keane, because when I went to Tottenham and that, I mean, an unbelievable player. You know, goal scorer, his movement, his all-round game. He was a special player, Robbie. You know, for country. You know, at every level he did it. And he was so good with me as well, because when I signed for the club, I remember the first game against my debut against Portsmouth, and I was a little bit nervous in the warm-up. I remember Robbie saying to me, "Just relax, just play your game, it'll be fine." I remember scoring on my debut there. I think he got 2 on the day. I thought, yeah, this guy's, you know, sharp. His movement was unbelievable. Then we signed Berbatov, and it's just like, wow, never seen this before. Like, so relaxed, composed. I felt like he was always 2 steps ahead of everyone else. Clever, goal scorer, all-round game, could do everything, and the best first touch I've ever seen. Literally the best first touch I've ever seen, but so relaxed. And a character, a funny guy. You got to know how to take him and that, but like he's definitely up there. I enjoy playing with Berba. I had a spell where I think Robbie was injured. I played about 10, 11 games with Berbatov, and it was just like, he always used to say to me, as soon as I get it, just move. And if I didn't move, he'll just do this look. And I just say sorry and that, but that's just him wanting to assist me, and that's him, and every time he got it, he'd always look really clever. A special player, yeah.
I've heard it said about Zinedine Zidane that he had hands for feet.
It was unbelievable.
Is that what Berbatov was?
Yeah, it was unbelievable. The goalkeeper, I remember he scored a goal against Charlton away from home. Well, I don't know, someone played it, was on the halfway line. The ball came to him and he flicked it round the defender, and then he ran from the halfway line and he scored on that. But just like things like that, I mean, it was just like, it was so clever. But his first touch, I mean, if I was a young kid now, I would go on YouTube and just watch some of his touches and that, because people always say if you get your first touch right, then everything else is easy. He definitely had that.
So everything's going great. You're playing with the likes of Robbie Keane, Dimitar Berbatov, but the following summer, Darren Bent arrives for £16.5 million. Are you then thinking, am I part of the plans here?
No, I don't care. You could sign Benty, whoever. For me, I wasn't bothered because I just thought. I've always felt like if I'm on it, I should play.
Come the January though, you go to Portsmouth, and I'm thinking there wouldn't have been many clubs you would have left for had it not been for Harry Redknapp and Portsmouth, would it?
But to be honest, when I remember, obviously one day Ramos was at the club at the time, and I didn't feel like I was going to leave Tottenham. When I was there, I didn't feel like I'd ever leave Tottenham, to be honest. I had a special relationship with the fans, scored a lot of goals, and then for some reason the manager, he weren't playing me, and then we had some words, and he basically said that you could leave without telling Daniel Levy. At the time, you could leave. I think he was a little bit upset one day in training. He said, "Oh, you can leave the club." I was like, "Okay, no problem." And then I spoke to the chairman. The chairman was like, "We don't want you to go." But I'm saying, "Well, I'm not playing." And it doesn't look like this manager is going to play me. I remember, I think it was Berber and Keno that was playing. He loved Berber, of course. And I didn't want to sit on the bench. I just wanted to play football. I just wanted to be happy again playing football. And obviously, when Harry called, again, it was not an easy decision to leave Tottenham. But if I was going to go anywhere, I'd want to go and play for Harry again. So and that's what I did. How
quickly did that happen? Because I remember you once telling me he was just like, "Look, don't worry about the medical." I know medical.
Yeah, you know what Harry's like. I spoke to him on the phone. Jay, like, do you want to come and play here, get your goals? I said, yeah, no problem, Gaffer. And then and you know, even because it was deadline day, so it was a rush because Benjani was going to Man City. So I think Harry was panicking as well.
He had a few issues trying to get rid of Benjani, didn't he?
Of course, Benjani didn't want to go. I had to drive him to the airport. He was like, "No, I want to stay." But no, Ben, you got to go. JD's coming. So it was funny. I've heard him tell the story. It's funny because when I heard the story, I didn't actually know, and because obviously Benjani didn't want to go because it was a nice place down there. It was good, and the squad was strong. You know, some good players down there. So you could understand why he didn't want to go. But obviously he was scoring goals, and Man City wanted him, and obviously Harry wanted me. And literally, Harry just said, you know, forget about the medicals, come and sign. He knew I was fit, no real injury history, and then that was it. I got down there, literally signed.
The goals, of course, flowed, as they always do with you, at Portsmouth. 9 months into your stay there, Harry Redknapp goes to Tottenham.
Yeah.
Now, at that point, did you dare to dream, I could go back here?
That's the first thing I thought. And that's not even me being disrespectful to Portsmouth, but I think naturally, anyone in my position, I think of course you're gonna think, okay, then if Harry's brought me here, and he's gone to Tottenham, of course he's gonna want to bring me back because it makes sense. I mean, the relationship I had there with the fans, didn't really want to leave there in the first place. I only left there because of the manager, and everyone knows that. And I suppose I was just waiting for the phone call.
When he left, did he say to you?
No, because he didn't. He obviously he went, and then I remember speaking to my agent, and they just basically said that, you know, Harry wants you back. You know, Harry wants you back. What do you want to do? And again, it was like, because I wasn't at Portsmouth that long, to be honest. You know, it was a strong squad. I was enjoying it, but I was just like, I want to go back to Tottenham because I didn't want to leave there in the first place, so of course I want to go back home. And spoke to Harry, and again, you know, come home and do what you do. Come home and score goals.
It's amazing how things work out though, isn't it? Because one manager at one club will say, you can go. And then things in football just change like that. You're testament to that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It happens all the time. It happens every day where, I mean, the manager that said I could leave the club, and to be honest, throughout my career, there's not many managers that have said that to me, that you can leave. Because why would you sell a goal scorer? You sell a goal scorer, and I think it backfired, to be honest. Because when I went back to Tottenham, they were sort of like, when they're bottom three, they were struggling a little bit, and I remember, well, I found out years later that obviously the chairman spoke to the senior lads at the club and said, like, what's going on, you know, because at the end of the day, a club of this size should never be sort of like bottom half of the table. And the boys just basically said, well, at the end of the day, you've just sold 60 goals, you know, or 40, whatever it is, you know. I left, Robbie Keane left, I think Berbatov left. You know, bring JD back, you know, bring Robbie back, and that's exactly what happened.
It could have been so different though, Jermain. A massive European club were in for you at that time, weren't they? Tell us a bit about that. So
basically, I remember being at home. I think I was in my house for about 5 days, just waiting for the deal to get done. And I remember, I'm not going to say the agent's name. I remember getting a phone call from this agent and just basically saying to me, Juventus wants you. So if the Tottenham thing doesn't happen, then I'm taking you to Juve because they're really interested. They want you to go there. I was like, wow, really? But even then, it's strange though, because for me, I just thought I want to go back to Tottenham. But of course, I was chuffed. I was like, you know, it's a massive football club like Juventus. They want you. It's big, and you know, going to a different league. I've always been confident. I always felt like, you know, if I do go there, I'll go there and score goals. But if the Tottenham thing can happen for me, it'd be special to go back. But of course, it could have been. It could have been a lot different.
When you look back, do you think, I could have played for Juventus?
Not really, to be honest. Obviously, it's a special football club, but again, you know, going back to Tottenham, you know, I had a great time. I enjoyed my second spell. I loved it. And
Robbie Keane as well comes back as well.
Yeah, of course. Then Robbie comes back. Obviously, it was strange leaving and coming back, but I mean, yeah, I loved it. I just felt happy again.
And Peter Crouch as well. He arrives at Tottenham, and you obviously played together at Portsmouth and had a great partnership. What was it like when he came?
Strange. It's just like, it was strange, and for Crouch it must have been strange because he was at Tottenham as a kid. But I was really happy because I felt like, do you know what, we need to get the club out of the situation that we're in, and you don't even think about the competition. You just think about, you know, getting up the table, just being where we should be, and just playing with the top players. And even around about that time, you look at the squad, some of the players that we had, it was amazing. Some of the players that we had there at the time.
You talked about Berbatov being up there with the best you've played with. You mentioned Keane, you mentioned Peter Crouch. If you were to choose one player as your best partner, who would it be and why?
Strike partner or just...
Yeah, strike partner.
Crouchy.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It's best partnership ever. York and Cole, Defoe, Crouch. Ian Wright, Bergkamp. But it was just... I think if you look at the numbers and the goals that we scored together and all the stats, I'm sure it's impressive. But it was a dream to play with Crouchy because when you look at Crouchy, you think, he's good in the air, and he wasn't the best in the air, to be honest. He'd done a lot of work with Les Ferdinand at the club, but it was just a dream to play with, you know, because he was so good with his feet, and I just always felt like when the ball goes up to him, you know, the ball would always stick, and we had a good relationship off the pitch as well. You know, funny guy, and obviously we always knew that, you know, people always spoke about the relationship and the partnership. So because when you know that, you always want to make it work more. So every game you play, you think, right, I don't know, if I can, I'll try and assist him, or he will assist me, and then people will be talking about it. So, I mean, it was great. And obviously, when you play with someone such a long time, Portsmouth, then Tottenham, you know, England, after a while, everything just becomes natural.
A couple of years later, though, Harry Redknapp is sacked at Tottenham. You two are linked throughout your whole of your career. How big a void was that for you? Because you probably knew then, at that stage, this is probably the last time I'm playing for Harry Redknapp. Yeah, because to be honest, when he went, and I think we had 2 top 4 finishes, he'd done an unbelievable job there. When he got sacked, I was devastated. But, you know, things happen, and I suppose you've got to sort of like be professional. Again, you just need to accept who the new manager is, and you need to continue playing well and scoring goals, because, you know, it's a massive football club, and the demands are so high. But it was tough. I was shocked at the time. It wasn't easy for me. So Andre Villas-Boas comes in. How long into his reign do you start thinking, I might have to look elsewhere?
Not long. I remember he was brilliant with me, to be honest. I remember him doing an article, and I remember speaking to him, and he actually said that Falcao was amazing. So I asked him, I used to ask questions, and that was Falcao like. He said Falcao was amazing, but you've got a little bit more. And I was like, yeah, right. So I don't know if he just did that just to sort of like, I don't know, get in my head for the, sort of like the confidence side of things. But I remember him saying that, and I thought, you know what, it's nice. It's a nice touch when your manager says that. I remember playing, scoring goals. You know, I loved his training. So organised. Every day was different. You know, he would literally use the whole of the training ground. So we'd go from this pitch, where we played one game, and we'd go on that pitch. Then we'd go into the cage, we'd do 5-a-sides. Then we'd go into that pitch. His training was amazing. He was different. A lot of possessions. Pre-season, there was no running, which was good. You know, just football in the morning, and football in the afternoon. And he was a young manager, and off the pitch I had a good relationship with him, could have a laugh with him, could speak about anything. I could knock on his door, I feel comfortable, it was approachable. And then I was sort of like in and out of the team. I was in and out of the team, and towards the end, before I left Tottenham, I was playing more in the Europa League. And when I was playing, I was scoring consistently. Felt really sharp, was scoring consistently, but for whatever reason, just wasn't playing the league, because obviously we bought in Soldado for a lot of money, and he was obviously, again, like the Darren Bent thing. If you spend a lot of money on a forward, you know, they're looking to come in and play.
So when you did eventually leave, there must have been interest from Europe and in England. Was there? Who was in for you, and why did you end up choosing to go to the MLS in Toronto?
Yeah, there was other clubs, but to be honest, the sort of vibe that I got from the conversation with Daniel Levy before I left was that the club didn't feel comfortable selling me to another Premier League club. What
did you say to Daniel Levy when you kind of got that idea? Did you
understand? The conversation, it was to be honest, it was a nice conversation. We sat down and we spoke as friends, and he just said to me, he said, it's up to you, you can do whatever you want to do, but he said, as a friend, I just felt like this is a good opportunity for you to go to another league. You've done it here, it's been tough for you, but you've done it here. And it's something nice for you to go and sort of like enjoy your time on and off the pitch. The lifestyle in Toronto, it's an amazing deal for the football club. It'd be an amazing deal for you getting 4 years, a 4-year contract.
You got the 4-year contract, but you leave 11 months into that 4-year contract. Why so short? And when you look back on that, do you regret going there?
No, I don't regret going, because I enjoyed it and that experience. You know, I speak about it every day. You know, people say to me, "What's the MLS like? What's all the travelling like? You know, what's it like over there?" And I said, to be honest, the club done so much to get me there. I remember they did an advert, this campaign, you know, it's a big deal. And I remember them flying from Canada to my house, and I had to do filming for about 3 hours. And you know, I remember going to Toronto, and it was all on the TV, all the adverts and stuff.
Jermain Defoe is coming to Toronto. It's a bloody big deal.
You have to appreciate that. And to be honest, I enjoyed my time there. I signed with Michael Bradley, you know, a top player who came from Roma, American international. And I just missed the Premier League, to be honest. You know, every Saturday morning I'd wake up really early and I'd watch all the games. I remember that season where Liverpool probably should have won the league. I remember watching all the games, watching Tottenham. I just thought, you know what, I just missed it. I just missed the Premier League. I miss it. I remember getting a phone call from Harry, you know, nearly went to QPR.
You know, it could have been reunited again.
Yeah, they were going to match the deal, you know, with the 4 years, you know, come home, score goals, the same conversation. And then for whatever reason, that didn't happen. Toronto didn't want to sell me, and then not too long after that, I got a phone call I got a text from Gus Poyet, and just basically saying that, you know, JD, have we got a chance of signing you? I said, well, I don't know. You're gonna have to speak to the club, because I can't see it happening, to be honest. Yeah. They spoke, it developed, and then they managed to come to some sort of agreement, and then that was it. I was on my way to Sunderland.
You had some great times there when under Dick Advocat and Gus Poyet, especially when the club stayed up. But then it looked like you got what looked and appeared to be the dream move, and it was to Bournemouth, where you'd had that amazing loan spell. Yeah. Probably didn't work out as you'd hoped it to. And why do you think?
just didn't get the opportunity. I think it's simple. I don't know. It was just like, because to be honest, I think about it all the time, because I've scored goals at every club I've been at, and I suppose that's probably the reason why people bring me in. At Bournemouth, I've always felt like if I sign for a new club, I need to sign for any club. You need to play. I need to play. I need to get some sort of rhythm, because I feel like once I get rhythm, and I'm scoring goals, I always felt like I can do it consistently, and it doesn't matter what age you are. And my whole time at Bournemouth, I never didn't get an opportunity to get any rhythm. It's as simple as that. Didn't play. Even when I played, I'd always get taken off after 60, 70 minutes. When I think when I look at a lot of my stats, and I think I'm up there with the players that scored the most goals in the 90 plus the 91st minute, or whether it is late goals in the Premier League. I scored a lot at Sunderland, where maybe people get fatigued in games, defenders switch off, and I managed to get my goals.
So when Eddie Howe says, look, we're willing to listen to offers for you, and I
was surprised. I mentioned before, there's not many managers that have said to me that you can leave, but I was surprised when I had the conversation with him. But again, you have to respect it, because I suppose he didn't have to have that conversation with me, but I felt like he probably felt like, you know what, he deserves to play football for what he's done, and that's what the manager said to me. He deserves to play. I don't want to be the manager that sort of like, I suppose when it comes to the back end of your career, sort of like you've always played and you've scored goals, and then you're here and you're not playing and you're not doing what you love doing. It's something that you've always done, and he could see that it was affecting me. Towards the end, he could see that it was affecting me because I wasn't even coming on.
Rangers obviously in for you because you ended up there, but what other options did you have when Bournemouth made you available?
I had loads of options, to be honest. I mean, like, I remember hearing stuff about Sheffield United. Had other clubs. What clubs did I have? Obviously, the Rangers one. I spoke to my agent, obviously, because me and the manager, me and Stevie, we've got the same agent. So I spoke to my agent, and obviously ratio I got with Stevie, obviously ex-teammate and stuff like that. But again, when I got that phone call, I remember being at home and Rangers played someone, and I remember listening to the atmosphere and thinking, wow, like that is special. And then my agent messaged me saying, "Are you watching the game?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "What do you think?" I said, "Wow." I think Morelos scored, Alfredo scored and that, but like I just thought, I need to experience this, because even before then, before I even knew about the Rangers thing, I remember speaking to Graham Souness. I did a game on Sky. I remember speaking to Graham Souness about the Old Firm, and he said to me, "It's the best game in the world." I was like, "Really?" He said, "Trust me, it's the best game in the world." He said, "That football club's unbelievable," and I was like, "Wow." So all these things, and then when I got the phone call, I was like, let's make it happen.
Was the biggest factor Steven Gerrard?
Yeah, massive, big factor, of course. And I knew what he wanted to do there. And I just think, when you come to the back end of your career, getting an opportunity to play for another massive football club, like a massive football club, I just felt like I have to go.
Just finally, Jermain, you say back end of your career, you're 37. How old do you feel, and how long do you think you can go on for?
How old do I feel? I feel like Peter Pan. No, I feel good, to be honest. I feel like I can, when I think about my time at Sunderland, where I scored a lot of goals and how I played there, I feel the same. I still feel like I can do the things I was doing a few years ago. I don't feel like I've aged. I don't feel like I've slowed down. And I train every day. I don't miss a session. I do everything on the pitch, off the pitch. Do my gym stuff and that. So I just listen to my body. But I've always said, if you look after your body looks after you. It's that's how it goes. And I still feel really sharp. But I had a good pre-season. For me it was massive, because when I signed in January, obviously I didn't play a lot of games at Bournemouth before. So when I signed in January, I still felt like I was off it a little bit. I still managed to score a few goals, but I always knew that I've got more. And I was so desperate to do it, especially there, because the fans that they've got there and everyone was so excited me going there. So I felt like, in my head, I thought like, I want to get through this season and then make sure I have a good pre-season so that I'm ready. I just want to put in the hard work and just get myself fit so I'm ready to go. Had a great pre-season, scored a lot of goals, put all the hard work in the gym, all the running. Of course I was moaning, normal, but you get it done because at the end of the day I thought, you know what, I need to show these fans what I'm about, and especially like back end of my career, like I keep saying, still want to prove to these fans that I can still score goals, and I'm just happy and blessed to be at this football club.
Jermain Defoe, absolute pleasure to talk to you on the
Cheers.
Transfer Talk
Nice
podcast.
one.